suffering troop losses and has been unable to take Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv as of yet. But the Russians are expanding their attacks, and retired General and former CIA Director David Petraeus is here to talk about the latest on the ground. So, General, thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with this map of Ukraine, because right now we know the Russians are working on 4 major fronts. There's Kyiv, there's Kharkiv, there's obviously the Donbass region, the separatist regions, and then, of course, Crimea. But it does seem as though right now we're hearing that it's something of a stalemate. What is going wrong for the Russians right now?
Well, an awful lot, actually. It's a stalemate, but we should know it's a bloody stalemate.
Right.
This is not a ceasefire. And also, arguably, it's a battle of attrition. It's a stalemate on the battlefield, again, with lots of continued damage on both sides, lots of destruction, especially from the Russians. But there's a battle of attrition, in a sense, between the will in Kyiv and the country, and then between that in Moscow, and especially in the Kremlin, as their economy, their financial system, and all the rest of that is just collapsing. But what you see up here, this is the main effort. We can come in and show that in a second.
You want to look at Kyiv?
Let's do that.
So here's Kyiv, and so right now they seem to have been, they haven't been able to, here's Kyiv right now, and they haven't been able to get in there.
No, you've really...
Bro, I'm sorry, but like a lot of this is Super Bowl style, like play-by-play coverage is also unfortunately fucking just so incredibly heavly full of copium, where like the red keeps getting bigger and bigger, and then they keep trying to like find a different way to say like, oh no, but it's like, it's fine actually. It's doing so well. It's actually really, really good that this is happening. Like they've done a really good job. It's like, dude, it's not good at all. This is fucking terrible. Like Kyiv is being encircled. Mariupol is on the fucking precipice of falling, and it's most likely going to fall. And when it does fall, it's going to be incredibly bloody with a fuckload of civilian casualties. And once Mariupol is taken over in its entirety, then the Eastern Front is going to be blocked off from the rest of the country. Like that's what that's what it seems like their goals are. Even the fucking Caspian report had pretty much basically shown that unless they surrender, no, even if they surrender, it's going to happen.
The same treatment as Syrian refugees in Europe.
No, even if they surrender, what the pincer movement is still going to, or the cauldron, whatever the term is going to be complete. The point of it is to encircle the Eastern Front from behind and shut off supply chains, shut off movement from going in to the Eastern Front, where more than 50% of the Ukrainian military is currently centered.
Imagine subbing to a comic criminal.
See no big change to these lines for about 2 weeks. The Ukrainians have actually been counterattacking around in here, but very...
Have we discussed your prediction on how this plays out recently? A little bit. I talk about it a lot.
Here, the Russians are actually digging in. They're actually digging holes for their tanks because they've taken such losses. And they're really not quite within artillery range of the center of the city. They have rockets, missiles, bombs, and everything else that we've seen. And they're...
Ukrainian military literally existed only on paper for like 20 years, and their equipment is literally from the Soviet times. Brother, man, my brother in Christ, okay? My brother in Allah. Let me tell you something. That is not the same Ukrainian military, okay? That Ukrainian military did not have 8 years of fucking conflict and like cycling in troops over and over again into urban warfare that has gotten fucking hella javelins, Manpads, Stinger missiles, the AR platform beautifully delivered by our brave boys in the blue, by our brave military, US of A, baby. We're giving them motherfucking guns, baby. We're giving them Bayraktars from Turkey, okay? They have Aselsan platforms built on top of the military APCs, like the APC converted trucks that they have. Like you're crazy to think that like these homies are the same fucking non-standing like they don't have any sort of like organized standing military. And a decade of foreign training. Yup.
troubling
I was happy
these
in the haze
little
of a drunken
villages that
hour,
are on
but
the
Heaven
outside.
knows I'm
Keep in
miserable
mind,
now.
this is
I was looking for a
320
job, but
square
then I found
miles
a job, and
compared with
Heaven
New
knows
York
I'm
City,
miserable
all
now.
of which is
In my
300
life, why do I give
miles in
valuable
total.
time to people
So
who
again,
don't care if
pretty
I
much a
live or
stalemate
die?
here, but again, very much a bloody one. But if we go in now, let's go down to the south.
So let's look at this corridor because this is important. We have Russian troops just absolutely pummeling Mariupol. We've heard just these horrible stories about citizens being taken out into Russian camps of sorts, and that city just being devastated. But Russia has reportedly established a land corridor between the Donbass region, which is here, and Crimea, which they seized in 2014. So,
which they've wanted for a long time.
This is important.
Yeah, like to look at this and say that this is like, oh man, a devastating defeat for Russia so far is fucking insane. Like even your touchscreen colors betray the thing that you're proposing. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
It extends all the way across here. It's very important. Mariupol has not yet fallen. It is out of food, fuel, water, everything except for heart. They are still fighting very hard. This is the first place where the Russians are having to do, no kidding, urban fighting, having to go building to building. Every single room has to be cleared in this kind of endeavor. And they're finding out that it is very soldier intensive, and it just eats away at the reserves and forces that you have.
And who are they? Are they fighting the Ukrainian military or the Ukrainian resistance or both?
It's all of the above. Keep in mind that, everybody wants to say, well, the Russians have, 200,000 and the Ukrainians have 100,000. That's not so. The Ukrainians have 100,000 plus every other adult just about in the country, all of whom are willing to take up arms or help in some way, even if it's just jam radio signals or conduct vlogging. They call Russians in Russia and say, do you know how poorly this is going for you? So everybody's engaged. But the problem...
Bro, that's crazy, dude. It's like... That's a wild fucking... Their counter is vlogging. Like, it just feels hard to see that as a dub. You know what I mean? Like conducting propaganda operations is it's great. Wonderful that people are trying whatever the fuck they can do in this situation. But like, do you think Russia will take the whole southern Black Sea coast of Ukraine? Petraeus is notoriously good at war analysis. The surge was such a success. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Famously so.
Here is, again, that they are literally starving. This is a siege. That's what the Russians are doing here. And again, how long they can hold out. And that's very important because if they do surrender, these forces will be freed to go back up. And if you want to go back to the Ukraine map overall, what that would do is free forces to go up this way. Eventually, you could actually surround a lot of Ukrainian forces that are in here.
So the significance of having this part right here, which is what we're talking about, here's Mariupol, here's Crimea, connecting Crimea, which they seized in 2014, with the Donbass is what? They can consolidate forces and go that way?
Well, it's that on the battlefield now. It's also that you have a land line of communication between essentially Russia and Crimea that doesn't require the bridge here in the strait.
Right, they've got this little here. Let's go back to the corridor here, which is just this. This is what they had previously. All they had was this teeny little bridge, which you can't really get everything you need if you're in the Russian military across this bridge. It's just not big enough.
That's right.
What's the significance? Can I just ask you, what's the significance of Odessa? Why do they want Odessa?
Odessa is the single biggest port. If they take Mariupol up here, that's the last big port. It is directly on the Black Sea. It doesn't have to go through the Strait of Azov and so forth, which can be blocked by the Russians. It's the lifeline for all of Ukraine when it comes to what's coming in. And so what they've tried to do is go here. They've tried to get through Mykolaiv, which are two key bridges. They're already rigged for demolition if they have to. And they've just, again, it's a stalemate. They haven't done much. They've gone a bit north to try to get around a river that's up here. Ultimately, they want to invest Odessa in a siege, and there's also ships standing off here offshore that can conduct an amphibious landing. So far, that's all essentially on hold.
I wanted just to talk briefly about this because the Ukrainians say they have killed 5 Russian generals in Ukraine. CNN has not.
Yeah, this is like patting the deck and just being like, dude, look at the dubs are big. The dubs are strong. We promise the dubs are the beautiful, big, beautiful, and strong dubs overall. You know, it's not bad, actually. Things are not going bad.
Independently confirmed that. We also hear that a top U.S. General says Russian soldiers don't appear to be particularly motivated. I only recall the U.S., and I might be wrong about this, so I apologize if I am. I can only recall one American general being killed in Afghanistan in the entire conflict.
Bro, you can never compare America. Holy shit. I hate this comparison so much. Americans care less about the war and damage they're inflicting upon the population because it's not happening in their fucking backyard. And they're not gearing up when they're doing shit like that for an extended occupation with like a standing military. Now, I'm not saying that that's what Russia is doing, okay? But it's an option that they have to constantly consider. Okay? The country that did shock and awe and the country that did the fucking surge is wildly fucking saying, oh man, like, you know, Americans didn't kill that many American troops. They didn't kill that many generals. It's like, yeah, of course. They're in a way fucking different tactical position. They have a different military culture. They have a different war culture. They have different material goals. Like different interests in occupation.
And that was a green on blue insider attack, right?
I think that's right.
It's not common.
It's very, very uncommon. This isn't the first 3 weeks, and these are quite senior generals. The bottom line is that their command and control has broken down. Their communications have been jammed by the Ukrainians. Their secure comms didn't work.
Putin, Russia bad, yet you say more stuff against Ukraine XD? Yes, they should do nothing and whine like you, so they should say nothing and act like they are losing, right? Great for morale. Dude, if you're in fucking Ukraine and you're in Mariupol getting shelled non-fucking stop and your brother died, okay? And you're trying to get the fuck out like my friend's aunt and grandma was, pretty sure not sitting around fucking watching CNN and be like, oh, thank God, my morale surely is boosted now. What the fuck kind of stupid take is that? I'm in America. I'm talking about other Americans literally fucking leading people astray or trying to create a false sense of security around like this conversation that we're having about the chances of a Russian withdrawal.
They had to go to single channel. That's jammable, and that's exactly what the Ukrainians have been doing to that. They use cell phones. The Ukrainians blocked the prefix.
It's also laughable to think that like David Petraeus gives a fuck about Ukrainians. Like I demonstrably care more about Ukrainian lives than either of these fucking clowns do. Give me a goddamn break.
For Russia, so that didn't work. Then they took down 3G. They're literally stealing cell phones from Ukrainian civilians to communicate among each other. So what happens? The column gets stopped. An impatient general is sitting back there in his armored or whatever vehicle. He goes forward to find out what's going on because there's no initiative. Again, there's no non-commissioned officer corps. There's no sense of initiative at junior levels. They wait to be told what to do. Gets up there, and the Ukrainians have very, very good snipers, and they've just been picking them off left and right. And at least 4 of these 5 are absolutely confirmed. And I think the 5th we'll hear today.
Are these like the kind of guys you have heard of?
Some of them are, yes. Yeah. Some of them are, especially the 3-star general right there.
All right. Yeah. David Petraeus, thank you so much.
Always
really
a pleasure,
insightful.
Jay.
Really appreciate it.
President Zelensky, welcome to the show.
Greetings to you all. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you.
President Biden has called Vladimir Putin a war criminal. And yet, you have called for negotiations with